Hey my lovelies! I often find that when it comes to summer grilling, it can be challenging to find vegetarian-friendly recipes. So today I thought I would share 3 awesome veggie burgers that will appeal to your vegetarian friends, but are flavorful enough for even the hardest core carnivore. I'm kicking things off with an incredibly tasty caramelized onion veggie burger that you really have to taste to believe. For this burger, we are using a lentil base. I've got some cooked lentils in my bowl. You could use canned here if you wanted to. Lentils have a nice meaty texture when they're cooked up in a veggie burger. So great. Next, I am going to add some breadcrumbs. For the flavor in this burger, we have got some caramelized onion, which I absolutely love. Caramelized onion takes a little time, but it is always worth it because you just achieve the most incredible flavor. Next, I'm going to add a splash of balsamic vinegar. Then I'm going to amp up the flavor even more with some minced garlic, some fresh thyme leaves, some salt and some pepper, and then we are going to add 1 egg. The egg is gonna help bind this all together. Now, if you wanna keep these burgers vegan, not to worry, you can add a flax egg. That will do the same thing. I'm going to mix it until it's well combined, and then I'm going to press it into patties. Once again, really important to freeze these burgers for at least 30 minutes so they'll stay together on the grill. Now these burgers are loaded with flavor as it is, but if you want to make them extra special, I recommend serving them over some sprouts with some grilled red pepper and some goat cheese. Tanginess of the goat cheese with the sweetness of the caramelized onion burger, you really can't go wrong. Next on today's menu, I've got a really super flavorful black bean burger. This all gets mixed up in your food processor and it's actually really easy. Of course, this wonderful recipe starts with some black beans. I am using some canned black beans that I've rinsed and drained, but if you want to go ahead and use dried black beans and just cook them up, that is totally fine and will work just as well. To help give a really nice texture to this burger, I'm going to be adding some breadcrumbs to my food processor. If you want to use a gluten-free option, you could also use some cooked rice in this recipe. That will help bind things together. For flavor, I've got some red onion, some fresh cilantro, and 2 chipotle peppers in adobo sauce. You can usually find these in the international section at your supermarket. They've got a lot of smokiness, which is incredible, and of course, a little bit of heat. I've also got some garlic, some cumin, and of course, a good helping of salt and pepper. I'm just going to pulse it all up until it becomes sort of a doughy consistency, and that means it is time to build our burgers. Always really important to remove the blade of your food processor before you dig in with your hands. You know, just a word of warning. To form these burgers, we of course are going to use our most useful kitchen tools, our hands, but I find it really helpful to just grease your hands a little bit with some oil before you get started so your burgers don't end up sticking to your hands. And then the real secret is to freeze these guys. So whenever you're making veggie burgers, a lot of people brush them to the grill. And what ends up happening is they fall apart. I find the best way to prevent that is to get these guys in the freezer for between 30 minutes and an hour. That really helps them sort of stay together on the grill. These burgers are super flavorful all on their own, but if you really want to kick them up a notch, I highly recommend serving them with some chipotle mayo or just a few slices of fresh avocado. Finally, my loves, I am making a grilled Portobello and Halloumi burger that may sound really simple in terms of execution, but actually has the most meaty, delicious flavor of them all. This one, of course, starts with some beautiful portobello mushrooms. I've just removed the stems and I'm going to drizzle them with a little bit of olive oil and then season those up with a little bit of salt and pepper, some garlic powder, and some fresh thyme leaves. Give this a little rub, and then we're gonna flip this over and do the same thing on the other side. Portobello mushrooms are so flavorful and so meaty in terms of texture. You never ever miss the meat when you're eating them. Very satisfying. We're gonna let these hang out for maybe 5 or 10 minutes and just slice up our halloumi cheese. If you've never had halloumi, you are in for an absolute treat. It is a traditional Middle Eastern cheese, and what's really cool about it is that it maintains its shape during the cooking process. So unlike regular cheese that just gets gloopy and ooey gooey, halloumi stays in its shape on the grill. The texture is nice and chewy, but the flavor is super salty and wonderful and such a great complement to those gorgeous grilled portobellos. My loves, I really hope you will give these veggie burgers a try, and if you do, be sure to tweet me, Instagram me, or Snapchat me a photo, because of course I love seeing your creations. Keep in mind that I've got an entire vegetarian grilling series on the channel that I did last year, so if you haven't seen that already, be sure to take a look for it. And finally, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe because there is lots more grilling deliciousness where this came from.